Welcome back to a special episode,
Yeah,
surprise, of Water Polo Wednesday with Wes and Clay. He's Wes,
he's Clay.
and we had the U20 World
Yep.
Championships in Zagreb, Croatia, a couple weekends ago. Last weekend, it feels like it was yesterday at all times because I'm still thinking about it
Yeah.
that much. Incredible tournament for those of you who tuned in on a World Aquatics YouTube channel. Just really great feed and pretty good commentating, if I do say so myself, depending which games you're watching. Wesley Kading is once again weaving himself into the fabric of water polo globally by commentating for World Aquatics at this event, and got shipped out there um, to do some commentating, not just for any matches, but the best ones,
Yeah.
including all the meta round matches. Wes, we'd love to hear about your experience. It's a very unique experience, not just being there in person, but like getting to, meet the people that you're meeting, the perspective from the deck itself, being that close to the officials. Uh,
Officials.
sounds like we're getting married, and
Well,
just the overall vibe and energy.
I mean, thanks, Clay. It was such an amazing opportunity, and it lived up to the hype for me. I was actually pretty nervous going into it. I'm like, this is a big deal, and I was really excited, but also like, there's a lot of names I don't know. I didn't get the rosters until like the day of the tournament starting, and how I got them was in the form of an Excel spreadsheet without numbers and without accents. So for
Oh
every
yeah.
Balkan country, it was like I had no idea how to pronounce the names because I didn't know where the accents were on any of them. So it took me a day or two, but I mean, the overall experience was a lifetime kind of achievement experience, right? It was amazing. I got to see former teammates of mine, Dr. Mona Tamash, who hopefully we'll have on the podcast here pretty soon, who's the head of all officials globally. I got to see Norbert Madarash, who is now the head of the Hungarian Federation, both guys that I played with and against in Hungary when I was young. And it had been 25 years since I had connected with those guys. And so we sat for the first day, we sat together and talked for like 2-3 hours. It was great. And so I had an amazing time just reconnecting with people. World Aquatics did a great job. The Croatian Federation was outstanding as a host, was so impressed. Everything was done so well. Like everything was organized. I mean, the from the decorations and the banners, and like they had an amazing walkout for the announcements and a press area to like do interviews. And I mean, it was first class. So a lot that I feel like we can do. It gave me great ideas for our events here. And like what we could do nationally finals, what we can do at Bob Neely, all this good stuff. It was so cool. The commentating alone, I think we do the best we can with it. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty stressful because there's basically a block of 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. straight with like 3 10-minute like breaks.
Yeah.
But really, it's to go to the bathroom, grab as much water as I can possibly carry back to my chair, and keep going. But the level of play was so invigorating, Clay. I was so impressed with a lot of these players. I mean, just super talented. And it was an honor to just watch and be a part of. Like, again, kind of a lifetime thing for me. I think it just really felt special, just to be there in general. The fans were really nice, at least to my face. And the players were really cool. Like, hopefully we brought some life to the tournament. A lot of the players had some great things to say, where, I got a lot of hugs from the Croatian team and the Spanish team. And they were like, dude, this was a lot of fun. The parents of the US, were awesome. They were very welcoming, and like it was nice to have some Americans there to speak English with, because a lot of my dialogue was in other languages, be it whatever it was, and so it's really really a lot of fun. They were incredibly caring and very accommodating, and so the whole thing was just so positive. I got to see parents of some of the players that played for LA this last spring, which was heartwarming, and it's just been. Dude, the world of water polo is just such an incredible world. I mean, having grown up and spent so much time in Hungary, I knew this, but it's been 20 years since I'd been there.
Yeah.
right? Like it's been a long time. And since I'd like really been ingrained in the society, aside from playing for the US, which is you're pretty removed from the culture a lot of the time because you're at the pool, you leave, you're at the pool, you leave. This was just total immersion. And again, the hosts were amazing. The Croatian Federation was, I mean, first class. They were great. World Aquatics was great. I thought the stream quality was outstanding. The level of play was top notch. I mean, it was really, really good from some of these teams. So really cool. Got to see a lot of guys that we know, got to meet a lot of people that I didn't know. I mean, not enough good things to say, man. I could go for days on this, but it was an unbelievable opportunity, I felt, and very, very grateful for the
Yeah.
opportunity to be there.
Yeah, I'm definitely biased, but certainly it carried over what I enjoyed about your commentating from domestic competitions certainly shined, and I feel like even more so because there was just like such constant action, and we had like the drama of we just don't
Yeah.
know who is going to show up to games and who's going to come out on top. It's really anyone's game every single time.
Yeah.
It really came to life. Some comments across different platforms seem to think so as well. So
Yeah.
on that note, and then I want to hear thoughts on the performances of these teams and of USA specifically. Is there a next time that we can expect to hear you behind the microphone?
We're working on some scheduling stuff for the fall. I hope I hope I get the opportunity to do it. As we talked about while I was there, that might be the peak for me. I don't know. I hope it's not, but I love doing this stuff. So hopefully, Clay, I mean, we'll see about fall and winter and what that looks like. I'm excited for the NC2A season, regardless of whether or not I'm commentating. But
For sure.
I think I'll let you guys, I'll let everybody know when I know. I don't know for sure yet. There are
Okay.
things being talked about, but I don't know for sure yet.
Okay. Maybe we'll find out on Water Polo Wednesday. So onto the teams in the tournament, like some very strong competitions, like getting like the
Yeah.
group staging.
Yeah.
I guess what were your in the first couple of days, like your initial impressions of some of these teams?
It's not how you start the tournament, it's how you end the tournament,
Of
right?
course.
And I think Croatia, being the home team, came out and just laid the wood on Team USA. And I know there was a lot of concern about that. I mean, look, you're playing the home team at the World Championships. It's a tough first game, right? And so I think Croatia played really out of their minds. I don't think that was Croatia as they went forward. I think USA played down, maybe a little starstruck, maybe a little lights too bright. But I don't think that was Team USA as they went forward.
Right.
Okay, so USA got better from that game. And Croatia, on the other hand, I don't think did. I think they became more predictable. They had Toncinic in the middle, who's freaking outstanding, but kind of the other guys kind of mellowed out, if you will. And I think Spain was great through the whole tournament. They didn't lose a single game. I think there was some real highlights for me. Germany, great generation for them. Was really impressed with their play. They got a couple of really special players that it's a good generation for Germany. I think it's one of the better U20s I think I've ever seen of Germany. Montenegro was pretty young. Serbia was dominant in the middle. Their second center is 17. And their goalie is 16. And so that team's only going to get better as they build around those guys. They were very strong in the middle, not as strong on the perimeter, which is why I think they lost to Spain in that opener. They just didn't have the outside shooting for their 6-on-5, and Spain's 5-man defense was they were so good together. Their movement was so coordinated. Everybody knew where to go. It was really incredible. So, I mean, I can go all day. Again, I think the play was really good throughout. I saw teams start hot and kind of cold. Hungary was another one that was outstanding in group play. And then, lost to the U.S. in their semifinal. They didn't have Andras, which to me was, I would have rather seen that game with Andras because I think I don't know that the outcome's different, but it's a better game, even though it was a great game to begin with, right? I think.
Right.
So
that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Is there any particular team that really surprised you?
Kazakhstan.
Huh.
Yeah. I was really impressed with Kazakhstan. Their goalie was legit good, very organized, like extremely organized. They don't have the size or the speed that a Team USA does, but was really impressed with them. They really surprised me. I was, they were great, man. So yeah, that would be the biggest shock for me. I kind of knew Germany would be good going in. Kazakhstan,
Yeah.
I didn't know what to think.
We
And
don't
maybe
we don't hear about them very much. So yeah,
no,
for sure. And then on the USA, you mentioned that coming out of the gates a little bit slowly,
yeah,
and I think that there seems to be some sort of a theme, and that's kind of on like a macro level of starting off behind and then finding themselves as they move forward. And we saw this in the senior nationals final against LA Athletic Club, and then in several games
yeah.
in this 20U World Championships tournament. It's just an interesting pattern to see them like starting behind and having to claw their way back, but doing so in force.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
So it does feel like they need like half a quarter to a quarter to kind of like figure the other team out. They just not a hot start type team. Again, it's how you finish, not how you start.
Totally.
And so I think that, look, I think Coker's a great coach. I think the way the rules are now being played, we'll talk about that in a bit, but like the way the rules are now set up and things are being called, Coker's style is going to really create problems for other teams, and it did. And so his approach was outstanding. I think that approach takes a little bit of time to get going. So it's not a flashy, hot start, you know, I don't know what to call it, but it just, they ended strong, man. They ended strong all week long. And I don't really care if they're down a couple of goals. They seem to rally back just fine, you know? Makes for a great game to call. It makes it a
Yeah,
lot more
sure. Yeah,
fun.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Really exciting. What's funny is that, some people were saying how like, oh, Wes is so pro USA, and it's like it's just an exciting game. A team is
Yeah.
coming back and pulling out the victory, especially in a tournament where like people say, oh, Ryder Dodd's on the team, so they're going to be strong. But I think plenty of international countries thought that US probably wouldn't find themselves in the top four. They're still not ready for that level, and I think that they proved that like they definitely are.
Oh, for
Like
sure.
there's no question about it that they deserve to be there.
Yeah.
But going back to the comment about enthusiasm and excitement in games, there are plenty of games where people are coming back. The Spain game is another example, right? Like they were behind and coming back, and there's just the same
Yeah.
amount of energy coming there. But yeah, when USA at this point is getting behind by 2, 3, 4 goals, I'm not worried.
No, I'm not either. I
Not
think
worried.
for
It's not what you hope for,
no.
and like if they can overcome that, then that'd be an immense positive if they're not having to come behind from 4 goals, but maybe that just does something in them.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look, their style is very much attack at all times. They try to play a very downhill style, meaning they're pushing towards the goal a lot. They run a lot of double posts. They run a lot of matchup posts. We saw the same thing at senior nationals.
Yep.
And as we went through the tournament, like it was clear that the refs were making those calls. And I think what I perceived was that the refereeing was erring on the side of make the call versus not. Does that make sense? So if they see something, they make the call versus letting them play. And USA took full advantage of that. And I think why people felt like, well, Team USA isn't a top 4 team going into the tournament was because I don't think people really understood the rules. I don't think the Serbias and Croatias, even the Hungaries, really understood the rules.
Well, let's pause there and let's really get into what these rules
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. So again, huge credit to Coker because he put this team in position to be successful, and then huge credit to the players who took advantage of it, right? Because a coach can't play, but he kind of pulled a lot of the right strings throughout the week. So a couple of things, a lot more exclusions. We're seeing a lot more exclusions pretty quick. All right. So what does Coker do? He puts in Corbin Stanley and Will Schneider at the same time, and they go double posts. Stanley also ends up defending. So knowing that, what else does he have these centers do? The centers are also defending to take exclusions. So they put Will Schneider or, Pete Castillo. Pete has defended before, but he's been primarily a center at UCLA.
Pete's been doing both
Pete
sides
does
as well.
Pete's did everything. So you got Will Schneider, you got Pete Castillo, you got Corbin Stanley, centers all taking exclusions because they know that they're coming. What does that do? It keeps your primary center defenders like John Carey out of foul trouble. Even Kiefer Black was defending a little bit. Okay, so it allows for those exclusions to be spread out across the team a bit more evenly. So that's first and foremost. Referees are calling far more exclusions in order to create more goal scoring opportunities. The inside the 2, which for us when we played was like you just can never go inside the 2, right? This whole thing where I believe it's about a meter outside the goal. I like that. I think it needs to be about a half a meter wider on each side. Yeah, because the goalies are getting lit up from those short angles. It is, and Adrian talked about this on our podcast. Like everything is created to have more goal scoring opportunities. The goalie just has far fewer advantages these days. And I do think that needs to be a little bit wider so that there's more time on that pass coming from the wing in, and it allows for the goalie to adjust a little bit more. It puts these goalies in pretty precarious positions. So that was kind of note number 2. One of the things I absolutely loved is this continuation call. We don't have this in the US, but man, should we implement it, especially from us who, life is short, score goals, man. I love continuation. When a center makes a turn or anybody makes a turn and has inside water, they want you to score. And so what the ref will do, if there's a 5 meter, they don't blow the whistle immediately. They put their hand out with 5 fingers up. And then if you miss your shot, it's a 5 meter. But it's kind of like the delayed and 1 call, where if you miss it, you get the penalty, you get the foul call. If you don't miss it and it goes in, you don't get a call. I like that a lot because it teaches you not to play for the whistle. Now, if somebody's got 2 exclusions and they're on your back, you might want to take the exclusion, right, to get that 3rd. But it teaches you to score goals, which I had a lot of long conversations with Molnár Tamás, and we were staying at the same hotel, so we sat for dinner a number of times. We sat at games. We talked a lot. And he was saying the idea is to create more goal scoring opportunities. That's why all the 6-on-5s. That's why all of the delays and continuation type rules. So that makes sense. A couple of cool statistics. At 30 meters, there was 1 counterattack on average per game. At 25 meters, there's 5 counterattacks per game.
That's not this. Sorry, when you say counterattack, you mean like on the advantage counterattack, like a scoring opportunity counterattack.
Yeah, like a 3-on-2, 2-on-1 type of thing.
Right.
Scoring opportunity counterattack. We just didn't get those in 30 meters because it's so far to swim, and oftentimes the goalies maybe couldn't make the passes accurate, so they held it and waited for people to turn around closer to them. So that was really fascinating. So the proof's in the pudding. There's some data there behind that, and he'll come on the show later on and talk about that. And so we had a long talk about that. He's excited about sharing. And I think when he shares his thought process, it will make a lot more sense to a lot of people. I just don't think we've ever been given context on it. And so that was really cool. The final piece is the VAR. No red cards given.
Huge.
No red cards given this tournament. Not one. To coaches. So there are some players and brutalities, but there wasn't because coaches were arguing with the referees, right? The VAR alleviates this contention of it was a call, no, it wasn't a call type of thing. And so coaches can challenge it. They get one challenge. If they get it right, they keep the challenge and can challenge again. That's a really important piece. Okay. It keeps cooler heads to say, okay, somebody was right, somebody was wrong. The only issue, and this is, so I would change the distance from the goal for that 2 meter a little bit, just by half a meter. I would also change this VAR process. First off, the referees who are whistling, so the 2 referees on the sidelines, should not be making the VAR decision because one of them made a call. And if they're the ones that have to overturn themselves, they're less likely to do it because God knows the wrath of a coach if or the fans if you overturn yourself. Right? There's kind of an innate intrinsic pressure to be right and not want to overturn yourself. So VAR to me needs to be decided by somebody not on the pool deck. And there's a VAR review booth somewhere else that they're constantly reviewing. And so that's who should decide it. You don't have to show their face.
Now, you said that if a referee makes a call, let's say they call a goal on
Yeah.
something, on a questionable goal, did it cross the line or not?
Yeah.
And the VAR shows that, like, it didn't. You're saying that if the referee admitted that they made the wrong call, that they would get torn apart
Yeah,
by
for
fans
sure.
and referee. I don't.
Fra-
I think they might get more respect potentially
Maybe,
from the
maybe,
referees to have
but
that
why put him in
humility
that
to do
position?
that.
Yeah, but why put him in that position?
But that's, I mean, yeah. I mean, do you see that in other sports though? I
Yeah,
feel like it's usually
football
the referees on the field that make that call. Is that not the case?
in the
Do
NFL,
they
I
go,
believe it.
they're looking through the thing and then they go back on the field and they announce it?
Yeah, I believe the NFL. They go into the booth. I think they look at it, but I think somebody else kind of tells them or whatever it may be. And their rules are very defined, so it's a little bit easier. Um, in
Oh, so
baseball,
it's kind of more, that person might announce it, but it's still kind of like a committee of people talking to
mhm.
each other about it.
In baseball, it goes to a third part,
How
a
many
third
people at,
location.
World Aquatics, the referees, how many people are looking at the VAR in that review to make that decision?
Oh,
Like, how many
I
are
think
involved in the decision?
so. Ultimately, I believe the decision is up to the referee on the deck, the one of the ones who's whistling. I believe there are at least 3 people who are looking at the VAR. And I know there's disagreements that occur. I know there
Hmm.
are disagreements that occur. And because I was sitting right next to them. So
Right.
I'm well aware of the
Yeah.
discussions that are going on. So for me, it's like, why put a referee who's whistling, who's in front of fans and coaches in that position? Take it out of their hands so that it's not somebody who's, look, we're all human. If I've
Yeah.
been berating you for the last 30 minutes about your terrible refereeing, your stinking refereeing,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
you're not, look, I don't care who you are, you're not as inclined. I'm not saying you're going to decide something immorally or incorrectly, but there were a couple of VAR reviews where, to me, I just don't know if that was the right answer.
Hmm.
And that's tough. So we're really close to being right there. We're very close. I talked to Mol not that much about this, and the answer I'll let him talk about it because I want to ask him that question directly on the podcast. But the rules are great. Moral of the story here: the new rules create a lot of action. I don't know if I want 40 goals in a game, but 30 is good. 25 is good. 13 to
Yeah.
12, 15, 14, those are great scores. I think it's exciting. I think it gives teams an opportunity to come back. You know, so maybe good defense or whatever has been prevailing, but a lot of exclusions have been taking. Now players are out. I think that's part of the game of attrition. I think you're going to see a lot of that, and the approach these guys have has been really, really good. It'd be interesting to see how the senior team does with a similar approach, because I know, look, again, I think Coker's the best coach in the freaking country. I think he's as good as it gets. Very analytical, very detailed, very observant. So when it comes to that, I think outstanding. And I thought A-Rod and Felix Mercado did a great job as well as assistants there.
Yep. So then, moving forward, what's the future looking like based off of this tournament?
So I think the future of water polo is very fast paced, and I wish I could rewind my body back about 20,
Sounds like a
20
West
years.
Canyon game, huh?
Yeah, it does. This is like, remember when Terry used to say, like, Wes, you're too small, please don't post up. It's like, damn,
Yeah.
dude, like, come on. But it's like, this game is made for speed.
Yeah.
And
Looks like I played at the right time then.
you played at the right time because you're a big
for
lumbering
myself.
center.
Yeah.
It takes you 15 meters to get going, and
I'm
you
not
got
even
15.
a big center. I just
Yeah.
can't swim.
Yeah. No, this very much is my style of game. I love it. It's fast paced. It's action. I think guys like Luca Provenciani are going to be just,
Your Andrashes, your
oh
Lucas, yeah.
God, they're so fast and they're just
Casabanez,
terrorizing teams. Yeah. They'll just terrorize teams. And I think that the future of water polo with these rules is really bright if we can get viewership, right? It doesn't do us any good to just have great rules and great play without viewership. And it's on all of us to continue to evangelize our sport. But it's the future of water polo with these rules, with how fast paced it is. I think it's a little easier to understand, if I'm being candid with you, because there's not as much discretion in the middle. There's not as much like, was it an exclusion? Was it not? Because they're calling exclusions pretty quick. It's almost back to dare I say, the days of Molnár Tamás, where as soon as the ball went in, it's exclusion. Remember that? Remember it was like ball goes in, exclusion? It's a little easier to understand. If you can get the ball to that center position and he has position, more than likely you're going to get an exclusion there. More than likely. So I thought, I think it's great.
Well,
I really
it's,
do.
it's a faster game, but I would also say that it really helps to have, like, if you don't have a dominant center though,
That's right.
you're going to struggle. So
Yeah.
that's what it seemed like to me. Like whether it was like Serbia or Hungary or Spain, like having that person in the middle that can command position
Yeah.
to either earn those exclusions or command drops to allow for those outside shooting opportunities. Like it's kind of still both. So you kind of like need guys who can play the middle that can also move.
You do. I mean, look, it depends. The answer is it depends. So Spain had 3 guys who could play center and defender. Okay, so more utility type guys. Gomila Faes, Rodriguez, and I think a guy named Garcia, but he was out for the last game because of brutality in the previous game. And they could all swim pretty well. But really what's made a difference for them is not having to play defense. So Serbia, who had, I think the 2 Serbian centers and the Croatian center were the best 3 centers I thought in the tournament. I might even put Will Schneider up there now because I think Will Schneider was freaking outstanding. Clay, like, let me pause for a second. Will Schneider was a dude, everything. And he defended a bit, but when he went in, it was really, really incredible what he was able to do. I mean, just so strong. So strong. So to your point, yes. And when the U.S. didn't have him for the third quarter because he had 2 exclusions, that is when the U.S., I felt, lost that game because they just didn't have enough presence. That's kind of where that lead started to slip a little bit. And Will was, to me, I know Ryder was the MVP of the tournament. There's no argument there.
Yeah.
But Will was vital to that team. I mean, absolutely vital. So the advantage that brings any team is huge, but you still have to be able to finish your shots. And so without the centers having to play defense, they do get a little more oomph, if you will, coming into that offense. I mean, I saw some of these centers come in with a full head of steam. There's nobody getting in front of that train. Let me tell you.
When you say not having to play defense, you talk about the strategy of like at
live
the
time
line
subs.
at half, like they put their center at halftime. We saw this with Ben Halleck with the Olympics. I don't know if any other teams are really doing that. Have someone else play defense, have them tag the center in on the counterattack to offense.
Correct. Yeah. And a lot of teams did that. You know, USA did a little bit. Serbia did it a ton. Spain did it quite a bit. And it was, I mean, very effective.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. You know, like you said, there's only like 5 counterattacks, like advantages in a game. So it's like really losing anything by having that live sub.
Right. Exactly. And so I think that those rules and the future water polo is very bright because it's becoming more action, more scoring. And I think guys are playing better at these 25 meters than they were at 30 because they're not as gassed. So they're on their legs more. I think the passing is better, a little sharper, but
yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, we've complained about this over the years as well. Is like, man, I feel like we just figured out how to play our sport and the rules change, right? And then we just figure out how to play with those and they change again. And people are saying like, we need to stop focusing on rule changes and, you know, focus on other areas of the sport that'll help make it grow.
Yeah.
I mean, what's based off of seeing how these new rules were implemented? Do you feel like your sentiment is actually like these changes are for the better and do it help maybe new people to the sport better understand the game or do create more scoring opportunities and therefore making it more exciting, or like there's more opportunities for like highlight reels for different plays?
Yeah. So let me say this, going into the tournament, not a fan of the rules, probably because I didn't understand them very well. And I'm pretty reticent to change. Personally, I think most people are. I played a game a certain way for a long.
Unless you're making the change, then
fair enough, right? But I think if we play the game long enough at a certain rule, right, it becomes part of ingrained in your perception of the sport, and any change is like hard to understand because you're not in it anymore and playing that certain way. So let me start with that. my baseline going in was not positive. But after watching it and being a part of it and talking to people about it and the reasons why, I love to understand why things happen. You know this about me, Clay. It really made sense to me. And the proof was in the pudding. More counterattacks, more goal scoring opportunities. I like the more exclusions, to be candid with you. I like it because I think it leaves less up for wonder, like why wasn't there an exclusion there? Okay, so if you watch the referees who made it to the finals and semifinals, they were the ones that called the most exclusions. They called what they saw.
Oh.
And there's still some contrafouls that occur. Contrafouls are a pretty big deal. You got to get those right. I think those are more impactful than an exclusion, to be quite candid with you. But I do think this is I had some friends watch the game who had never seen water polo before. My goal as a commentator and play-by-play is to ensure that if you're watching the game for the very first time, you can at least grasp about 60 to 75% of the game. I don't expect you to grasp 100% of the game. I don't grasp 100% of any game other than even water polo, I guess, at these days. So if you can grasp 60 to 75% of the game, then I've done my job. And the feedback I got from people watching the game who had not ever seen a water polo match before was really positive. So that's good. Right. That's really good.
That reflects on these rules and having it be, easier to understand, perhaps.
Yeah. So that was really cool. I want to go back to the U.S. team. I like and give them a lot of praise. Right, like they were
we
really
mentioned
good.
Ryder once.
Like, yeah, I know. I feel like I'm not doing
MVP.
him justice. I thought Ryder was obviously outstanding. He played, okay, he played 96 minutes straight. He didn't take a break for 3 straight games. Quarterfinal, semifinal, final. No breaks.
Did not sub.
Okay. And
these are back-to-back games, right?
These are back-to-back days. They're not all in one day.
Sorry,
yes.
Days, I mean.
Yes.
So like game today, game tomorrow, game the next day, no sub.
He could have used a break at some point because he was tired by the end second half of that Spain game, and when he wasn't even taking his own 5 meters because he was drawing them, and he's like, somebody else, please, right, just catching his breath. I thought he was obviously outstanding. Bodie Brinkema, by the way, for a red shirt coming out of UCLA, bro, what a whip from that lefty side.
Yeah,
just I mean. We saw it at senior nationals. He was the real deal. Fast. He won a bunch of sprints. He's scoring goals. He's playing good defense. Yikes, dude. He's gonna be a problem for teams. So he was really good.
UCLA, Lathy as well.
Yeah. Lathy was great. Lathy does everything, dude. He hustled. The thing about Lathy that's amazing is he's got incredible talent. He's got incredible size. But what separates him from other guys who have talent and size is his effort. He will post you up. He swam down and stopped a Spain attack.
I saw that.
And got in front, swam all the way to get in front of the guy. After he took the shot.
That's right.
He took the shot and was the first one. He was at the one.
The pool. Yeah. Not just like 2-2, but like also left to right.
It's like
and to get in front of the guy. To avoid the
Can't say enough good things about him and his play. Was super impressed with him. Ryan Ohl came up huge for Team USA in the final.
Yep.
3 goals in the final.
That homeboy super off balance shot when Ryder.
Ryder just flipped it back to him.
Kicked it back over to Ryan. He's like basically totally on his side, wraps it around cross gauge.
I mean, amazing. The goal. Everybody had gone to Ryder and great pass. Dude, the pass by Ryder basically getting just mobbed, just goes over his head right back to Ohl. Ohl just catches it and sees the cage is wide open and just. I mean, that was just all.
I don't have time to set my legs. I got to sling this.
So he had 3 huge goals, but more than that, his driving kept teams off balance.
Totally.
And so he drew a couple of exclusions that were really big for Team USA in that final. And I think, look, these guys were prepared. Carcari had a really good tournament. Obviously mentioned Lathy, Ryder. Castillo was good. He kind of was like, there were some games Castillo like unstoppable. And then he had like a rough game against Hungary, came back and had a great final. And I think that like
finishes post shots. Once those are going, then
once
we're rolling.
I mean, dude, those are hard shots, but I think
they are hard. Yeah.
They're hard shots because you're trying to rush there. You want to be quick, but you don't want to hurry, type of thing.
It's a balance. Yeah,
it's tough.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you've got I just had it on the tip of my tongue. There were a lot of amazing guys to watch play.
Yeah, Appledorn.
Appledorn was good, but Corbin Stanley, the dude was like defending. Corbin has probably never defended in his life. I think we were talking about, he's like, dude, I don't know how to play defender. I know he was in the water on his off day, getting extra training in. He was defending. He was posting up. He had a couple of great goals from the post, or a couple of flips, like where the ball just came in. He's getting just basically tackled and he just flips it, whatever. Like, dude, it was awesome.
Yeah,
it was awesome to see, and great for USA, finishing second. First time they've ever been to a championship game. The Spanish team who beat them, good team. They didn't lose to a slouch Spanish team. They were undefeated the whole. They were undefeated the whole tournament.
Yeah.
And so I think, look, those guys are future players. Sabadell for Spain, dude, that guy's going to be an Olympian. Perrone, outstanding. We'll see how he develops. He's really fast.
Yeah,
Aguirre.
Really
fast. Yeah, Aguirre is, I mean, maybe the most pure shooter there. Right? Just absolute, just gas. Throws the ball so hard. So really, again, just all positives. I hope USA feels that way too. I know losing in the finals is tough, but I think a silver medal at World Championships is not the worst thing in the world when you knock out Hungary and Serbia.
Yeah.
Right? They beat two of the biggest storied programs in the world. Like, that's incredible. Yeah. So was a really amazing experience. Again, thank you to everybody who was there, who came out supporting Team USA, to everybody who was so kind to me. The meals, and got to have dinner with a number of families and brunches and that kind of thing. It was really cool. Got to do some touring. If you ever get a chance to go to Zagreb, Croatia, it's not like a super touristy destination like maybe Dubrovnik or Split is, but it was a wonderful city. I mean, I had a wonderful time and nothing but great things to say. And I can't wait to hopefully go back and do some more. So I hope everybody enjoyed the commentary. I don't really read the comments. I try to stay away from those, but overall, people have called, and to everybody who's reached out, thank you. I hope I brought more enthusiasm and fun to the game and made it exciting to watch. So
to somebody you did.
To somebody
out there you did. Wonderful. Well, everyone, we weren't expecting to do another episode during this summer here, very much on a needed hiatus, but we couldn't not release an episode talking about it. Yeah. So when the next episode's coming up, we're not sure, but if you're subscribed or following, then you'll be notified for sure.
Yeah, and we will do episodes in August to start prepping the NC2A season. Will we do one before then? We'll see how World Championships go, and if Clay and I can get ourselves together to do another one. But thank you, everybody, for following along. I know everybody was asking me if we were going to do one. Here you go. And remember, life is short.
Score goals.
Have a good night, everyone.